This year at WWDC, Apple had a ton to go over. Some of it's new and cool, like the liquid glass redesign that visually unifies all your devices, or Spotlight essentially becoming an AI assistant. It's just that some of it's not so new, but at least it's finally coming to Apple, like polls in group chats or spam call rejection, or, I shit you not, Windows on iPad, and also so much more. So hang on while we do our collective best
to tell you about our sponsor.
Valkyrie. Make cooling your PC, well, cool. Valkyrie's V-Lite AIO coolers feature a patented high-speed pump and copper cold plate while sporting a mecha aesthetic with RGB galore. Check them out using our link in the video description.
Let's start off with what Apple is calling liquid glass. It's basically a prettier version of Windows Aero, an aesthetic PC users got back in 2007 with the release of Vista. And oh boy, does it ever look beautiful. Widgets, app icons, notifications, just about every piece of the UI that could ever float over top of a background or an app has got a flashy new transparent layer, sometimes even multiple layers, along with some pretty animations as you use your device. Everything is getting this update. iPad, iPhone, Apple TV, Mac, and even the Apple Watch. This new design language is inspired by visionOS, which is getting a few updates, but we'll talk about that a little later. There are too many small adjustments and places this is being used to tell you everything faster than Apple's hour-and-a-half presentation. But some of the highlights are things like the menu bar on your Mac going transparent to make it feel like you have more screen space, or controls in Apple TV no longer hiding what's directly behind them as you scroll through Love Island. They didn't unify the operating systems to behave exactly the same as each other like the rumors made it seem, but it does look similar across all devices now, and that's better than nothing.
Keeping with the cohesion theme, Apple is changing the way they version their various operating systems to follow the same formula as the auto industry. That means this year, 2025, brings us iOS 26. And the same goes for watchOS, iPadOS, tvOS, macOS, and visionOS. It's 26s across the board, and I, for one, approve. And don't worry, macOS still gets its cute National Park-inspired codename. There's also a bunch of new features coming to iOS, and I'm sure we'll get like a very specific deep dive at the next event when they launch the iPhone, but for now, let's talk about the big stuff. And by big stuff, I mean stuff that Android has had for years. Not only will you finally be able to screen spam calls, but we're also getting Hold Assist as well. So instead of being stuck listening to Opus #1 on repeat for hours, your iPhone can stay on the line and do the waiting for you. So you can spend your time doing important things like, I don't know, doom scrolling Marketplace for terrible old BMWs. Then whenever the call finally connects, you get a quick notification to pay attention, and your wallet and significant other get to breathe a collective sigh of relief. But the relief doesn't stop there, because you'll also waste less time with spam messages. With Apple's new spam filter, messages for the stuff you actually care about, like your table being ready or your package arriving, those stick around. But now you can filter out the crud you don't want to see, like a spam message warning you about a fraudulent transaction for a bank you're not a member of. Something about an old car. I don't know, not important. What is important, however, is that CarPlay is getting updates, and they're fixing the kludgy camera controls in iOS, at least in theory. They're also adding backgrounds for iMessage group chats that anyone in the group can see and adjust. They're adding spatial wallpapers, dynamic lock screens, the ability to request, receive, and send each other money through Apple Cash within group chats, and even typing indicators for group chats. Hallelujah! Android people, they didn't even have that.
Here's another Google Pixel oldie but goldie. Calls, messages, and FaceTime are all getting live translations, so no matter the language pair, you can speak with anyone, even if they don't have an iPhone. I just hope the real-world use case performs as well as Apple's demo, because this has potential to be a really great feature. They also demoed some updates to Apple Intelligence, with visual intelligence letting you take a screenshot of something and get an answer to a question, or maybe a link to a site where you can purchase the object you highlighted. I don't expect to use it all the time, but assuming it works and actually launches, it's a welcome feature. As are the new wallet improvements. Refreshed boarding passes can show live activities like real-time flight updates, and soon, if you live in Puerto Rico or one of 9 select states, you could remove even more plastic from your life by having your driver's license on your phone as part of your digital wallet. Oh man, we're running out of time. I better pick up the pace. And thanks to Apple Watch's new workout buddy, so can you. Soon you'll be able to take all of that workout data you've been collecting, and Apple Intelligence will generate words of encouragement or progress tracking as you work out. Honestly, an AI voice pumping your tires after you run your 100th mile for the year, or after you set a new lap record, might actually be kinda cool and could help encourage you the next time you're about to call it quits. The new layout and liquid glass redesign looks very pretty. There's a bunch of functionality integrated into wrist flicking, like muting alarms, and your watch will soon automatically adjust the volume of notifications or calls based on your surrounding environment.
Much better.
I'm not too sure how that's going to work out, but we'll just have to try it when we unbox our next Apple Watch.
Or a new Apple TV, because I'm really excited about the updates there. They didn't show a ton, but coming from a longtime NVIDIA Shield TV user, the ability to set profiles in tvOS is gonna be huge. There's also a new automatic sign-in API, which means no more signing in across all of your devices. This might not matter a ton to all of you, but for those with roommates or family, aka roommates who don't pay rent, this update might make a huge difference for you. They also showed some new cinematic poster art for your browsing pleasure to coincide with the new liquid glass changes. There was a bit about Apple Music and connecting with your iPhone for karaoke, and contact posters are coming to tvOS when you FaceTime on the big screen. But what about the other big screens? iPadOS 26 is gonna be huge with its new Windows system, or rather, as Apple calls it, windowing system. The kind that you can just move around and resize and snap to the side. Yeah, it's Windows on an iPad, but we're also getting background tasks. So say you want to render something in Final Cut Pro in the background while you browse on sites where you buy things from strangers. You can do that now, and it'll just keep going. We're also getting other macOS feature integrations. I'm talking the Journal app, Preview PDF support, audio input selection on a per app basis, that's sweet, and the rest. It makes sense that with more power comes more capabilities, and thanks to Apple's Silicon M series of processors, soon you might be buying an iPad and a dock instead of a fully fledged MacBook. If you want a portable device that's powerful enough and can do enough, that's it.
And for everyone else, there's macOS 26. Tahoe. Some of this stuff also works on iPad. Like, finally, the ability to customize how folders look through color and custom icons. And wow, is it a welcome addition. Using liquid glass on Mac looks stellar, and adding all of this customization can really help personalize your device. Something everyone else has been able to do on a more robust scale for years. Apple showed off a few more welcome features, like a phone app and live activities, so you can work seamlessly between devices, enabling everything new for iOS, like live translation to be accessible from your Mac. The new gaming app looks shockingly usable, with a new overlay that actually looks pretty familiar to all the handheld gamers out there. They mentioned that Metal 4 is on the way and features some next-gen rendering tech, like frame interpolation and denoising. But I'm actually pretty excited about the ability to challenge friends with a sort of unofficial leaderboard, even if it is in single-player games. Their game library is continuing to grow, and considering The Sims is one of the few games that has always worked on Macs, I'm happy to see Inzoi has taken up the torch.
But the coolest part, aside from this Bretosaurus hoodie, lttstore.com, is the Spotlight upgrades. The demo they showed where Buddy grabbed his document through Spotlight, used Spotlight to then erase the background and keep it transparent, and then sent that same file to another commonly used app, all without going anywhere except for this handy little search bar that could. And to make it even snappier, they've added quick keys, which are basically shorthand commands to do specific actions like send emails or create a note. Not quite last and not quite least, visionOS. Yep, the Vision Pro lives. And it honestly seems like they're marketing it to businesses now as a way to level up your work experience. They showed off multiple people wearing headsets within the same physical space, now interacting with virtual assets together. And while it is a very high-end solution to a problem, it looks pretty sick and genuinely futuristic.
I don't know how much I agree with their claim that consumers love the Vision Pro, but I love the cool spatial widgets. Seriously? This is what I imagine when I think of a true augmented reality. Just think, instead of spending hundreds, or maybe thousands of dollars on physical goods like a TV, a calendar, and a clock, you could just spend $3,500 on a Vision Pro and not bother decorating your space. Okay, yes, the dystopian image of someone wearing a Vision Pro in an otherwise empty apartment is terrifying. But think of the possibilities. Who knows? In just 10 short years, the Vision Pro might become more affordable. It also really helps that they fixed the personas too. That's right, they are much less horrifying and actually look somewhat realistic. You can also create profiles so you don't have to constantly make adjustments when you're sharing headsets. They're adding PSVR 2 Sense controller support, and spatial photos are becoming more realistic with spatial scenes. And if a website supports it, you can get spatial experience on the web too, like the ability to pluck 3D objects from your browser and pop them virtually into your living room. The potential for the spatial web is actually pretty sick. But again, none of that really matters until these devices become significantly more affordable than they are today.
Speaking of things that definitely matter, how about Image Playground and Genmoji upgrades? Kinda cool, I guess. Yeah, you can combine emojis to make new ones, and you can even apply these changes to your own avatar. But was mankind really meant to have such power? Personally, I miss the days when emoticons were made with punctuation marks rather than with machine learning. But I guess you can't stand in the way of progress. Or our sponsor.
Acuity scheduling. At work, sometimes actually doing your job is the least time-consuming part of your day. Preparation and organization can take up countless hours, time which you could be spending closing deals, seeing clients, or in meaningful meetings. Acuity Scheduling is a comprehensive scheduling software that offers in-depth calendar management, easy booking tools, and multiple ways to send reminders and follow up on bookings. Quickly set up, then sync your calendar up with a variety of different platforms so you avoid double booking between internal meetings and client sessions. We've all been there, or at least have come close. It sucks. Speaking of client sessions, you can set up your online booking page with your brand font, colors, and logos, and then send automated confirmation emails, text reminders, intake forms, and much, much more. Acuity Scheduling even integrates with popular payment providers like Square and PayPal, making the transaction process easier for your clients. Get started with Acuity Scheduling by clicking our link in the description and use offer code LTT20 to get 20% off your first subscription.
So thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments what feature you're excited about that we didn't really talk about today, or what one we did talk about but you're just uber excited about. And maybe check out last year's WWDC event coverage to spot the differences between then and now. I can tell you one thing, we've got a hell of a lot more iOS versions all of a sudden. Yeah, just kidding. They skipped some. Bye.